I was born in the birthplace of civilization, in Mosul, Iraq, to be exact. It's about 120 degrees during the day, and it's not that much cooler during the night. I remember those sleepless summer nights when we had no water, no electricity, and when mosquitoes came in waves. I was 9 years old in 2007 when my father first got threatened for money by a group of corrupt teenagers who lived in a neighborhood where he worked. My whole family was under the threat of being killed. It took my father several weeks of fear, anger, and frustration to work out a deal with them. And on top of that, my parents still went to work, bought groceries, raised me and my brother, and fed us like nothing was happening. After paying them, my parents never felt the same about living in Iraq. So they made a decision. They decided to leave and took a risk that changed all of our lives. We sold everything, the car, the valuables, and just about anything we couldn't bring with us. And worst of all, we left our loved ones. Until this day, I could still feel the warmth on my grandparents' tears on my face when they kissed my forehead for the last time. Those were my last moments in Iraq, and that was the last time I ever got to see my grandparents. After that, we began our journey of being refugees for the United Nations in Turkey. We had nothing and no one to trust but our dictionary, our faith, and each other. We had no idea where we were going, but we were going. Now, the dictionary wasn't always the most convenient way to communicate with strangers, but about a year and a half, I found myself in 6th grade at a middle school in Portland, Maine. When I was in 6th grade, I became labeled as a joke to my mainstream classmates due to my lack of confidence, my limited English vocabulary, and my newness to the country. They called me immigrant, terrorist, suicide bomber, and even Osama bin Laden, despite that I was not born in Saudi Arabia. And I have never been to Afghanistan. They asked me if I rode camels in the desert and if we had a president. They forgot that the roots of modern civilization was in Mesopotamia. They forgot that the first library ever built in history was in Nainawa, Iraq, my birth city. I especially had a difficult time in gym class because it was the only time where my mainstream classmates and my English language learners classmates came together. And I remember playing kickball for the first couple of times. And let me tell you, it was not fun. I remember that one time when, as soon as I kicked the ball, I started running from base to base, and as I was approaching the home base, I took a glance at my mainstream classmates, and I noticed that they were laughing and chanting sarcastically, saying, "Keep going, Salim, keep going." And that was when I realized that I was out before I even started running. And when I realized that I was out before I even started running, day by day, I began getting used to those looks. I began getting used to working alone, and I was categorized and labeled so much that I was convinced that I didn't belong here. And I lived inside a category for years. But I wanted to be more than just a category. I did not want to be known as the immigrant kid. I did not want to be known as the Iraqi kid. I did not want to be known as that kid who doesn't know what's said to him half the time because English wasn't his primary language. Because that kid has a name. His name is Salim Ayman Salim. So I took a risk. I took the risk of stepping out of my comfort zone and exploring what's outside my circle. And that was when I began to change. That was when everything around me began to change. Taking risks is risky. But we as people have become so segregated and categorized because of our skin color, the amount of money we have, our gender, our political views, and the list goes on. And our society points out our weaknesses so much that we forget our strengths. And taking risks And taking risks will help us reveal those strengths. The second you get to know someone who's different from you, I promise you, you'll be a step closer at being you rather than being a category. Everybody in this room has a dream, a goal, and a purpose. And it's about which risks you want to take to get closer to that goal. It's about having the curiosity and the courage to step into the unknown. Once you get there, you've helped yourself achieve that goal, and you've inspired many to do the same. I still haven't found myself yet, but I can tell you that through these risks, I am getting closer to finding and knowing my inner self, my true self. I will not let a category decide my fate. I will not let a label change my name, and I will definitely not let the risk of speaking here set the limit for my journey. Taking risks has brought me from Mosul, Iraq to Portland, Maine. It has brought me from being a joke in middle school to getting elected as school president. I wonder where taking risks will take you all. Thank you.